This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 405 of the Stable Scoop Radio Show. Please support our sponsors as they make this show possible.
Our sponsors this week are HorseLovers.com and Equestrian Endeavors. This week, we have a Horses in History segment for you about old Bob. And then coming up, we have our Listener of the Week, and we head all the way to England for that, Devon, England to be exact. Fiona Crawford joins us from there. And then we have a product review brought to you by HorseLovers.com that Helena had a chance to check out. All of that coming up on today's show.
Welcome to the Stable Scoop, with weekly shows delivered right to you. With Helena and Glenn the Geek, live from the stable, it's every week. They'll bring you the news through hail or high water, while using their tails as their own fly swatters. So sit on down and laugh till you poop, cause it's time again for the Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. The Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop.
I'm Glenn the Geek.
And I'm Helena B., and you're listening to the Stable Scoop Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network.
Well, howdy, Helena. It's so good to be back with you again.
It's howdy doody time. It's howdy doody time. Do you remember that show?
Yes, I do. I do remember that show.
That was actually just a
little...
little...
you're old enough to remember that show.
I was going to say, I barely remember it. I never actually watched it myself, but, you know, it was sort of referred to when I was a kid.
We watched it in reruns, just to be clarified.
Okay. Saved yourself there, huh?
Yeah, I saved myself. Hey, we got a lot of comments from last week's show about the product review, the Hay Hoops. Mm-hmm. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to last week's product review, you might want to go do that.
Yeah, if you want to hear Helena get embarrassed, which does not happen often or easily. So.
There was a certain amount of discussion on that in the auditor's page. Yeah. So you might want to go back and take a listen to that if you missed it. It was a chuckle. It was definitely a chuckle. So, well, we have a fun show planned for you today. And I did see, though, before we get into that your horses were doing selfies. You were posting selfies of your horses. And that was fun. I didn't know they knew how to use the camera.
Neither did I. Well, you know, I keep trying to show him how to take pictures and he just doesn't seem to get it. Well, there's this cat I follow on Instagram. It's Manny, the selfie cat. And if you don't follow him, you definitely, in fact, I joined Instagram just so that I could follow this cat. I don't know what it is about this cat, but he just takes selfies and that's pretty much all he does. And he's got a couple of cohorts. He's got a few Rotties and some friends, some dog friends that occasionally photobomb his pictures, but I'm completely obsessed. And so I was like, I got to teach my horse how to take a selfie. Well, he could be a big star.
I got to tell you, we were at the beach yesterday down at New Smyrna Beach, which is below Daytona Beach. It's also a drive your car on the beach. And there were these two girls. We were down there with Jennifer's family, so there were maybe 10 of us, and they set up a tent and all this stuff on the beach, like everybody else seems to now at the beach. And there were these two teenage girls. They were probably 18, maybe, that were set up right beside us. And Jennifer and I were just laughing all day because we were probably on the beach for about 4 hours, and I think between the two of them, they took at least 1,000 selfies.
Oh, God.
At least. They had a selfie stick. They were taking selfies laying down, sideways, backwards, and then they had this soccer ball, and they were taking selfies throwing the soccer ball, catching the soccer ball. I have never seen two girls take so many pictures of each other.
Isn't that creepy?
It was just weird. It was weird. It was just so funny. I mean, after a while, we were just laughing because
it's creepy.
It had to be 1,000 selfies. I don't know how they had any room left on their phones for pictures.
That is so creepy. People, selfies are, first of all, I don't take selfies. I think I can't say that. I took one, and that was 2 winters ago when it was negative 19 degrees.
I remember that selfie. Actually, he posted it on Facebook.
And the only reason I took it,
snow.
The only reason I took it was to show how little of my facial skin could be exposed while doing barn chores that morning. But I really think that the whole selfie thing is a creepy concept. It's creepy. Now, 1 or 2, I get it. It's just you, your smartphone, and you want to capture a moment every now and again.
Yeah, like we took some over the weekend, but with other people,
With other people.
Right.
That's an exception. But again, if it's just you, I get it. But because I spent a lot of time alone on my farm, and there are all these wonderful moments that I probably could capture if I was a selfie taking kind of person. So I think there are exceptions, but man, I don't know. We're a nation obsessed with selfies, and
we are.
Oh, I should be the self-esteemies.
Well, before we get to our Horses in History segment, we do have to talk about our title sponsor, horselovers.com. Right now, there's a coupon code. It's still good through Tuesday of next week, which is May the 31st, for 10% off. Use the coupon code HRN for any order that you place. And I'm telling you what, they already have big deals on a lot of different things over there. And it's also fly season. They have fly sheets and fly masks and fly sprays and all kinds of stuff. They have like 25 pages of fly stuff. But they're having some, and I've been posting, I don't know if you noticed on the Stable Scoop page, I've been posting some of the deals of the day. We're talking 65, 70% off some really good stuff. Right now, they have Lickets, you know what the Lickets are that the horses love, at 80% off. They have mountain horse stuff up to 65% off. So you just have to keep an eye on the website. It changes all the time. They have deals of the day. We sometimes post them. Also go to their Facebook page because they post them over there every day. And I mean some great bargains. But even if you're not bargain shopping right now and you have a specific product that you want, they have the largest selection of stuff online, and their prices are terrific. So head over to horselovers.com right now. You'll see all the specials right there on the homepage, and their navigation is very easy to follow. You'll be able to find stuff very quickly when you're looking for a bit or coats or jackets or show shirts or riding breeches, whatever you're looking for, you're going to find them all at horselovers.com. Well, let's get into our Horses in History segment. We're going back in time a little bit. Do you know a horse named Old Bob?
I have heard of Old Bob.
Well, you're going to hear a lot more about Old Bob. Old Bob was a horse that lived back in the 1860s, and he happened to be owned and was the family horse of Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, now, Abraham Lincoln was a big animal lover, you know.
Yes, we're going to talk about that, too. I have a little bit about his other animals.
Okay.
Lincoln owned several horses, apparently not all at once. Of course, you know, that's how you got around. So he owned Tom, Bell, Old Buck, and it was a reddish-brown horse named Robin, who they called Old Bob. Old Bob was real name was Robin, apparently. As best as historians can tell, he was probably a standardbred. Yeah. That's what they kind of guess he was. Standardbreds were very popular back then because they were at a smooth gait and it was easy to ride.
And they're awesome in general.
Right, exactly. And there were a ton of them back then. Gaited horses were very popular during that time.
Well, they had to cover a lot of territory.
Yes, and of course, Lincoln, before he became president, was a lawyer, and he used Old Bob to get around back in Illinois and Indiana. He was using Old Bob. And when he became president, he left Old Bob in Springfield, Illinois. He left him back home. And Lincoln went on to, be president for a while, and Old Bob was just back at the house. He was in his teens then. Well, he brought Old Bob to D.C. on April 9th of 1865. Old Bob starred in the Union's victory parade after Lee surrendered. So after the surrender, these dates are important, on April 9th, 1865, Old Bob appears in a parade celebrating the victory, right?
Yep.
Well, he was described by many during the parade as a splendid old horse of dark bay color with swelling nostrils and the eyes of an eagle. Does that mean he was just freaked out? I mean, that's what swelling nostrils and eyes of an eagle means. He was just freaked the hell out during the parade. That's what I get out of that.
Not a parade horse.
No. Well, Lincoln was shot on April 15th. I forgot, we all studied history and I've watched a million Civil War movies, but you forget how soon after the surrender Lincoln was shot. He had like no time to enjoy this victory, right?
Aw,
it was 2 weeks, and Lincoln was shot. And then, of course, he died the next day. He was mourned at the nation's capital and then was taken by train back to Springfield, Illinois for the burial. In Springfield on May the 4th, Bob, who was 16 at the time, walked behind Lincoln's hearse. Now, they weren't doing the whole stirrup thing, the empty boot in the stirrup thing at that point. Right. So, but he did walk behind Lincoln's hearse wearing a silver-trimmed mourning blanket, and he was led by the Reverend Henry Brown, who I'll talk about in a minute, who was African-American. 6 black horses pulled the hearse, which was borrowed from the city of St. Louis. It was a $6,000 hearse. Now, that's in that day's dollars. So we're talking a $100,000 hearse here in today's money.
Wow.
It was a very fancy hearse, so I saw pictures of it. So that was pulled by 6 black horses with black plumes. And then...
I love when they do the black. I love when they do the plumes.
And they still do that in England with the funerals over there.
Yeah.
We have
I know it's a funeral thingy, but...
Yeah, and the friend that we've had her on this driving show over in England actually uses the horses with the black blankets, covers, and then the black plumes. But that's how they did it. And this procession, because they had already done the official mourning in D.C., this procession was to go to the gravesite. So, but apparently this horse, Old Bob, had become kind of a celebrity. And there were people running up to Old Bob during the funeral procession trying to cut pieces of his tail off as souvenirs. So the funeral directors and the people involved in the funeral kept having to chase people away who were trying to cut pieces of Old Bob's tail off. No wonder he had his eyeballs like an eagle.
Yeah.
Now, Old Bob is commemorated in a statue of Lincoln and Old Bob that's at the homestead there in Illinois. And this was done by a New York-based studio called Studio EIS. And they apparently spent a lot of time studying old photos and the clothing he wore, and they studied actual skull shapes and things like that. They had a forensic scientist on staff to help them to get this statue correct.
Wow.
They also studied pictures of Old Bob and really spent a lot of time on this statue. And that statue can be seen there. It's a full-size statue. And Lincoln's in his top hat. Lincoln was 6'4" and wore a size 14 shoe.
What?
He was a big man. Yes, he was a big guy.
I knew he was extremely tall. I didn't realize he was that tall. I guess, duh.
And with that top hat, made him about 7 feet, It's like...
No wonder he did so well as president. Nobody would mess with that.
So
Abe.
Yeah, so Old Bob, did the funeral procession. And then he was made into a briar. You can get an Old Bob briar, and he's wearing the black funeral garb. And that's still available. You can still find Old Bob the briar. So I don't know what happened to Old Bob. I wasn't able to find anything in my research about when he died or how long he lived or anything. Obviously, notes were not taken as well back then. But I'm sure if I dug far enough and into some books and documents, we could probably figure out what happened to Old Bob. If anybody knows, let us know what happened to Old Bob, and we'll give an update to the story. The Reverend Henry Brown, who was an African-American who led Old Bob during the funeral ceremony, was a Methodist Episcopal preacher. I can't talk today.
Say that 5 times fast.
And he apparently worked in various capacities for Abraham Lincoln, not a slave. Abraham Lincoln never owned a slave in his life. He actually was a paid employee for the Abraham Lincoln family and took care of Lincoln's family horse and led that horse in the procession. But he was also well known for being involved in the Underground Railroad. And this was what was said in his obituary, in the obituary of Reverend Henry Brown. Many a poor slave escaping by means of the Underground Railway during the Civil War was helped on his way by Mr. Brown, who acted as a conductor at the Quincy and Springfield stations. His idea of golden rule was illustrated by one instance where he gave his own coat and vest to a poor fellow who was without one. Brown was a native of Raleigh, North Carolina, and arrived in Springfield in 1847. He remained a resident except for a couple of years, and then was buried there in Springfield, Illinois, and had been a friend of the Lincoln families for years. I thought that was an interesting side story to that. Now, Lincoln, as you mentioned earlier, was a big animal lover.
Yeah.
Apparently, he was a huge cat guy. Loved cats. Matter of fact, Mary Todd was asked one of Lincoln's, for a newspaper article, was asked if her husband had a hobby, and Mary Todd Lincoln said, yes, cats. So, now, you got to remember, Mary Todd Lincoln was a little nutty. She had some serious mental issues.
I did not know that.
Oh, yes. Did you ever watch the movie Lincoln? That was put out recently. You need to watch that. That was an excellent movie.
Okay.
Well, the Civil War was drawing, to the end, and Lincoln was out visiting the troops, and he noticed 3 stray kittens in a telegraph hut. And apparently he picked them up and placing them in his lap. He was cuddling them and everything, and he asked the people about the mom. And when he learned the kitten's mother was dead, he made sure the kittens would be fed and had a good home before he would leave.
Oh.
So, he was he was a cat guy. Well, everybody knows the story about Lincoln and the turkeys. That his kids came in to a meeting one time. They had a turkey that they were going to have for Thanksgiving dinner, which Lincoln started, by the way, Thanksgiving. And Lincoln's son named...
Like we didn't have enough reasons to love the guy. He just keeps getting better and better.
Well, he had this turkey that was going to become lunch, right? And apparently Lincoln's son interrupted a meeting and had named this turkey Tom. And pleaded with the father to grant...
I love that Bob, the horse, Tom, the turkey.
And that's where the term Tom Turkey it came from.
Yep.
Well, they pleaded with Dad to give him a stay of execution, and apparently he took time out of his cabinet meeting to issue an order of reprieve, sparing the turkey's life.
Oh,
so that's
what
how...
a compassionate man.
And that's how today, the presidents still spare a turkey every year. Now, we eat the other 10 million, but we spare the one anyway.
I think, and I love this because I think that it's, I don't know, Abraham Lincoln really helped shape the future of our country during his time.
In a lot of ways.
In so many different ways. I mean, we moved ahead leaps and bounds because of him. And I love the fact that compassion was the fuel for his engine.
Well, that also extended to dogs. He had a dog named Fido, who was a mixed breed and apparently had floppy ears and a yellow coat. He's probably a lab of some sort. And apparently when the fireworks and cannons went off at Lincoln's victory in his election in 1860, Fido was terrified. And because he was so terrified, he wanted to get him kind of out of town, away from all the noise. So he had 2 people named John and Frank Roll, were neighborhood boys who promised to take care of Fido. And his real name was Fido. His real name was Fido.
Fido.
Yes. He told the boys, apparently, this was the rules. They were to let Fido inside the house whenever he scratched at the front door. They were never to scold Fido for entering the house with muddy paws, and to feed him if he came to the dinner table.
Oh my God.
And Fido, I didn't know this, is Latin for the word fidelitas, which translates to faithful.
Or loyal.
Yeah.
Oh my God, President Lincoln, I wish you were still alive.
Now we're not done yet.
But I would write him a letter. And you know what? I'm not going to say how old I am. I'm so many years old, and I would write President Lincoln a letter, and I would be, even at my age, my advanced years, I would wait by my mailbox every day for his reply.
Well, he also, that wasn't it. The White House was a zoo back then. He
What do you mean
apparently,
back then?
yeah, exactly. It's just not with animals anymore. Apparently, there were also 2 goats on the property, Nanny and Nanko.
Oh my God, this just keeps getting better.
And apparently the kids, Tad and Willie, like to hitch the goats to carts or to kitchen chairs and have the goats pull them through the White House, inside the White House. Danny and Nanko both like to chew things, and apparently they got in trouble for chewing up the flowers and also for chewing the bulbs that were planted by the White House gardener. So the gardener apparently was known to chase the goats around the White House because they kept eating everything.
All right. Well, I mean, come on. Those of us with goats have known. We know that's...
The Lincolns also had rabbits and many cats. They're not sure how many cats, but apparently there were quite a few cats in there with the goats and the dog and turkeys and stuff. So that was the story of Abraham Lincoln and all of his animals, including old Bob. So that's my horses and history.
I just have to tell you that story, that series of stories, totally made my week.
Well, there you go.
It really did. It really, really did. You think you know something about your history, about a president that you have an affection for. This just put him over the top. Well,
we'll have to talk about Teddy Roosevelt's horse at some point too, because obviously Teddy was quite influential in the foundations of everything that is in the United States today, including all the national parks. But,
all our founding fathers were awesome. Yeah. Like, I don't know what happened.
There were a few along the way that were interesting characters, but we'll do more on that, and that's our Horses and History segment for the month. And you are going to tell us about equestrian endeavors, and then we're going to get on our Listener of the Week.
Equestrian Endeavors with Stacy Erickson offers a different kind of training program for horses. Many riding horses suffer breakdowns, depression, subpar performance, and overall ill health because of a poor relationship with their riders, whether that's in an unsuitable environment, a bad training program, or some underlying physical issue. Equestrian Endeavors with Stacy Erickson offers a unique new program that focuses on rebuilding healthy relationships between the horses and their riders using classic training methods for horses and something called equine incorporated learning modules for the riders. Find out more about that at equestrianendeavors.net, or you can find them online at stacyerickson.com.
It is the year of the listener. And now, our Stable Scoop Listener of the Week.
Well, today we go to England for our Listener of the Week, and we talk to Fiona Crawford, who I think has been a listener for quite a while. We'll find out. Hi, Fiona.
Hi, Glenn. How you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us. It's nice that we get some of our foreign listeners on the show here.
Well, she's only foreign. We're foreign to her, Glenn.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that is true. Okay, some of our international. Does that work better?
Oh,
No.
That's nice. I like that.
You like being international? Okay, we'll go with that.
Yeah, that's good.
How about chic, smart, and beautiful?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, yeah? Yeah. So you had young in there as well.
Oh,
Yeah. And rich. We'll throw in wealthy.
Oh, God, I wish. Wouldn't that be great?
She's an equestrian photographer. She's not rich. I know that for sure.
Sorry.
No,
I do
yeah,
this all
you
the
know.
time. I told you, Glenn. See, Fiona, I said I'm having one of those days. I could lead you down into the depths of hell and we'll never return. But we want to talk to you about what you do with horses because you are you're an equine photographer, right?
Yeah, that's right.
What kind of shooting do you do?
Well, pretty much anything that has got a horse in it. I've done some random things. I've even done a wedding, but I only did the wedding bit with the horse. I refused to do the rest of it. I'm quite picky. There has to be a horse there for me to actually pick up the camera because I prefer horses to people. I think everyone does, really, don't we?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
That's funny.
We know where we are. So anyway, yeah, so I photograph all sorts. So a lot of my work is at a local race course down here in Devon, which is sort of southwest of England. So I cover the race courses down here doing national hunt racing photography, which is brilliant fun. So that's part of my sort of remit. And then I do bigger shows and events, I do sort of badminton, Burley. Hopefully this year I'll get to go to Olympia as well, which is fantastic just before Christmas. It's a lovely one to do. And then I do a lot of private shoots for companies that sell equestrian products, for studs, for either their websites or if they're trying to sell stock, so whether they're selling foals or yearlings or newly backed horses, anything really, but there just has to be a horse there, and then I'm happy.
Wow. Very cool. So when you do so are you hired to go out all the time, or do you also do, like we're familiar with, at shows where we can then buy pictures?
I don't really do that. You have to pay me to get out of bed, basically.
I like that.
I used to do a lot of event photography, and I do love it, but it doesn't make that much money.
I imagine that's harder now. Right? Isn't it harder now?
Absolutely. Yeah. So much harder now. And people steal the images, and it's so deflating when you've spent 12 hours photographing people in the pouring rain, and then they go onto your website and they steal the pictures, and you just think, oh, why did I spend 12 hours in the pouring rain? And they don't realise they've done anything wrong, so you can't. It's hard to sort of be really harsh with them because they think that if it's on the internet, then it's theirs to take. So it's just a situation we're in at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see which way it goes in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I know that whole business is kind of in transition right now.
Exactly.
But I like your
I'm sure it will find a way.
I like your approach to it because essentially the artist needs to make a living. And so you're either going to get paid on the front end or on the back end. And the back end is just completely muddied with, like you said, people stealing images, some knowingly, some unknowingly. But it's almost like trying to control, dogs from patrolling the fence. People are going to do what they're going to do. They don't even know they're doing it. So you almost you say it, tongue in cheek, but I think it's a very good approach to take, which is don't get out of bed unless somebody somewhere is willing to pay you. And if it's a show organizer, well, then let them be worried about recouping whatever their costs are.
Exactly. I like to have some kind of commission so that I know that I've been paid for my day, one way or another, whether it's for a sponsor or something. And then anything else I pick up on top is great. But yes, I have to be, because I have to support, my horses. I have to support them. I need to make sure I get paid.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Well, now,
so I'm looking through your portfolio, and there's such a nice variety of images. Do you have, I don't want to say a favorite, but is there a particular type of event or a scenario that you find gets you more excited or really taps into your creative eye more so than any of the others?
It would be definitely my portraiture when I go, because people phone me up and they book me to go to their yards or wherever they keep their horses and photograph them with their horses, and it's very much about the relationship that they have with their horse, and those I love, because although you kind of give them a mini interview on the phone and say, what kind of horse it is, what do you do with it, and you get a kind of feel for the place and what they want from this photo shoot, and then you get there and it's completely different, but it's so challenging, and I love the fact that you never know what you're going to be put in front of, and then you've got to make something beautiful from it, and I love that challenge. Whereas going to the bigger sporting events, you've kind of seen all those pictures before. It's just different people riding those horses over different fences, whereas the creativity of my side really comes in with the portraiture. I just love it. You just never know what you're going to get, and it's so much fun.
You have one that's posted on your website, and it's a lovely young woman who's dressed casually, but she is on a stunning flea-bitten gray who is striking the most beautiful pose. And, one of the things that I find striking about this image is that she is very casual, but her position is, it speaks so loudly to those of us who do ride, because she's tight in the tack. Her horse is well-conditioned. He's handsome. It could be a she. She's ready to go. But yet she has this smile that's very appreciative, almost like she knows what she has, and she appreciates the fact that you're capturing it.
Yes, and I do. I spend a lot of time with them, and I always say to them, there's no time restraints. It's all very relaxed and calm. And after the first 10 minutes, they really get into it, because we never make enough time for our horses. We're constantly going there to groom them, going there to feed them, going there to take them out for an exercise. And I think to actually spend 2 hours with them, just preening them and just cuddling them and just being with them, the horses really love it. And so do the people, that I'm photographing, because it's special for them and it's capturing a moment that, might be gone soon. You just don't know.
Yeah.
How about your horses?
Did you have to ask me about? I've got two. I've got a little retired Highland pony who is just an angel. He's divine, and if I could gobble him up, I would. He's just gorgeous.
What's his
He's
name?
retired now. He's called Riff Raff. Riff Raff the Highland Pony.
I love that name.
But he's far from Riff Raff. He's just beautiful. He's a stunning little Highland pony, and I've done everything with him. And we used to breed Highland ponies years ago, because I am Scottish. The name might have given a bit of that away. But we used to breed Highland ponies, and he was the one that we just couldn't sell. He was such a swine. He was so naughty. Every time someone came to try him out, he'd put them on the floor. So my dad said when I was leaving home, "Oh, just take him. Just take Riff Raff. Just take him. I didn't want him staying here. You take him with you." So I did, and he's just been so much fun. And I would never have usually had a pony, but he's just been awesome. Absolutely fantastic. So yeah, he's my rock.
I don't know anything about owning a naughty pony and how much fun that is. I don't know anything about that.
Oh, really? I'm making up for it now, because I've got Roly Poly, who is my problem horse, who I got when Riff Raff retired. And I've sort of had 21 years with Riff Raff being an absolute angel and never having a day of being sick or sorry or causing me a problem, and doing whatever I asked of him. He'd be like, "Yep, first in, I'll do that for you." This one, I've had 3 years of hell. He's just questions everything I've done. He's tried to kill himself. He's tried to kill me. He's tried to do everything he possibly could. And I'm like, it's because I had 21 good years with Riff. I'm making up for it now. It's a bit of karma.
That's why a lot of, I don't know if Helena's one of these, but that's why a lot of couples I know have the first child, and the first child is like an angel, is really good. And they say, "I'm not having a second," because I know the second one's going to be a total jerk.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
You
That's
kind
how
of
they
did
do
that.
it.
I mean, you ended up with a really good one first and then said, "Oh, I'm not doing that again."
Yeah.
Gonna stick with the good
Very
one.
wise. Mm.
I guess does that mean that the people who have like 4 or 5, the first 3 or 4 are total jerks and they're really trying to get one good? You know, is that what
Keep trying
if we
again and
flip
again.
that? That's funny.
You
So
never
have
know.
you actually done anything with Roly Poly, or just tried to survive?
Oh, just try to survive. My daily chore is trying to survive. He's getting there, but it's not been easy. I've only been riding him for 6 months. He's been sent away to be backed twice. He's a slow learner.
What kind is he? What breed?
He is an Irish draft, which I thought was supposed to be lovely, crossed with a thoroughbred. Because I thought I wanted to event him, that was my plan, and I saw this beautiful liver chestnut, unbroken 4-year-old in the field, and went, "Wow, he's gorgeous. He'd make a perfect event horse." And I brought him home and tried to back him, and he put me in hospital, so I sent him away to be backed by someone else. And then he poisoned himself in the field, so he had liver damage for a year, and then I sent him away last summer, and the guy actually managed to get on him and ride him away. So I've been riding him for 6 months now.
And everything is good. I'm knocking on wood.
Well, I don't. Set
That
my
answers
hopes-
that question. You don't need to say any more.
Yeah.
I don't like to set my hopes too high.
I should have just
You
left
keep
that
the bar
alone.
low. You keep the bar low, and then you achieve it. Every day is kind of a step towards my goal. I don't look at the bigger picture anymore. It'll be fine.
Okay, so then I have a question for you. I know you're married, and
Okay.
I know his name is
Yeah.
Jeremy. Is he more?
Mhm.
Is he more like Riff Raff or Roly Poly?
Oh, he's like Riff Raff. He's
Oh,
an
good.
angel.
Oh, good. I'm
Okay.
glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Best horse
Thank
names
God.
ever.
Now,
I can only cope with one nightmare in my life, so that's really holy.
is he? Was he non-horsey when you married him?
Very. He was non-animal, non-horse, non-anything. Yeah, it's been a huge learning curve for him, and he's still with me, which is great.
And how many years?
18 years.
Oh well, he's
Oh,
not
bless.
going anywhere. You're good. Yeah, he's going to hang
I
around.
hope so. This horse might be the what do they say, the straw that breaks the camel's back. I think the horse might be, because he does worry a lot about this new one.
Ah. Well, the fact that you said his horse, that just tells the story right there. He has a horse. Someone coming into a horse world, into a horse woman's world, without any kind of animal background, and then ends up with his own horse. That's love. That's
no,
true
sorry,
love.
no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't have a horse. He wouldn't. He's allergic to them. Sorry, I was saying that this horse is
gotcha.
the one that will break me.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, he's
That'll break
worried
my
about
leg.
this horse.
Oh,
I've
oh,
had
oh.
Jennifer's owned a few of those. I wanted to take out in the
I can
backfield
keep dreaming.
myself. Yeah,
I can keep dreaming.
What's the most adventurous place you've ever ridden?
I'd say, I have to have a think about this. I think it would be, I was lucky enough to ride around the pyramids in Egypt outside Cairo, and I was lucky enough to ride a gorgeous Arabian stallion, and that was pretty good. And when you set those up into a gallop, I've never felt anything like it. It was out of this world. So that was, that would be it.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's something not too many people are going to get to do again because of all the trouble.
No.
Right.
Exactly. We were over there about 19 years ago, so it was, that sounds awful. My husband used to work in travel, and there'd been a massacre at Luxor, so he was getting cheap deals to go to Egypt because no one wanted to go. So we went, and that's
so
when
you
I
were like, "I'll go. I don't care if I get shot at. It's all right."
Well, our philosophy is that it just happened, so therefore they'd be really keen and really looking after us, and they were. They couldn't have been more happy to see tourists coming back. So it was lovely to go, and we were spoilt rotten. So we got to do a lot of things that other people weren't at that time, and also, like you say, I think it was a very special moment in time, really.
Yeah, and again, a lot of people are going to get to do it from now on. Unfortunately. And how did you hear about us over there in England, the Horse Radio Network?
So I think it might have been through the Equestrian Network, the Photographers Equestrian Network.
Oh,
I can't remember the name of the lady who. I think
we
done
had
an
her
interview
on a couple times. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there must have been something posted on her website, which got me to you. And then I've just been listening. It must be 2 or 3 years now. Just love it. It's good fun.
Good. Well, good. We appreciate you listening. Thank you. And you're an auditor too, right?
I am.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, I thought so.
Just a little one, but every penny counts.
Just a little auditor? All auditors are big in our eyes.
Oh.
All right. Are you ready for the rapid fire questions? And again, to remind you, we are speaking to Fiona Crawford, Auditor Fiona Crawford, out of Devon, England. Are you ready, Helena?
I'm ready.
Shoot.
Okay, Fiona, what is your favorite food?
I'm going to go with falafel. Are you familiar with that?
Falafel. Is that a Greek dessert?
Not quite. It's sort of Middle Eastern.
No.
No, it's made out of chickpeas and herbs and spices, and it's like a burger, but it's all out of chickpeas. It's gorgeous.
So it's not bangers and mash. It's not. What's that stuff? What's that awful stuff that you guys eat in Scotland?
There's quite a lot of that. Oh gosh, haggis.
Haggis. It's not haggis.
Oh, it's not haggis. I had to eat a lot of that as a child. I haven't been back and revisited that for a long time now.
It's funny because when we have Victoria on for Horse and Country TV on Hit 'em, you probably heard her. She loves haggis.
Absolutely.
She loves haggis.
Well,
and it's like, ooh.
It's an acquired taste.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I had to look it up. They call it a savory pudding, so obviously it's not sweet, containing sheep's pluck. I don't even want to know what sheep's pluck is.
No, you don't want to know what's in haggis. No.
Okay. Suet. Okay, so that answers our next question, which is what would be your least favorite food? So I'm just going to file that right there.
Well, I'm going to say, and I don't know if you have that over there, quiche. Do you ever have quiche?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I cannot. There's something about it. Just the texture. Oh,
yeah, you're in there with Jennifer. Won't eat quiche either.
Oh, no, good girl.
Most people have, when we ask them their question, what's their least favorite food? Typically, the answer has to do more with texture than it does with taste.
You're right.
Yeah, I think texture is so important, which is why I like sort of all the Middle Eastern foods and the vegan foods, because it's very much about texture as well as taste. I do like a bit of texture.
That's a good point, Helene. I didn't think about that.
I'm paying attention, sometimes I'm awake. I'm in the room occasionally. What is your biggest equestrian pet peeve?
Oh, I'm going to go with ego. I think people whose egos are too big, I feel very sorry for their horses. Because a lot of people I see over here, they let their ego take over. So if they're at a show and something goes wrong, rather than listening to the horse and thinking, why did it go wrong, they get heavy on the horse, and I hate that. Absolutely hate it. Ego is a big problem, and we all suffer from it a bit. But it's when it gets out of control, I don't like it.
Yeah, you have to keep that ego in check, and if not, your horse will put you on the ground and do it for you.
Well, hopefully, but sometimes they don't. I just feel so sorry for them, and you just think, fuck them off. They don't. It's amazing.
I've been lucky enough to have my horse do it for me. I've had a few dirt sandwiches. My ego, and so then you're like, okay, whoa, Helena, your ego's coming up. Gotta put that away.
I just want to say the Horse Radio Network does not condone horses bucking humans off. I'm just saying that. Just that clear for all the horses listening. We don't encourage that.
Really?
Okay.
Go ahead.
There's a couple of people I might encourage you for. Okay. Fiona, do you have a favorite professional or celebrity equestrian?
I couldn't decide between Monty Roberts or Buck Brannaman.
We can put them equal. We'll give you both.
Yeah.
You're
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah.
Buck is one of my favorites too. What career, other than one photographing horses, might you like to try?
This is going to sound funny. I would love to be working in fashion or beauty because I've always been the one who turns up for school and I'd be dirty and I'd have hay in my hair and I'd always be the one that always just looked like I've been dragged through a hedge backwards. And it'd just be nice, just once, to kind of be glamorous.
I've
and
never
people
heard
look at me and
that
go,
before.
She
That
looks nice.
that saying.
You know what, Fiona? That's what hunt ball is for.
But oh God, even then I still couldn't scrub up well. I tell you, it's just not in my makeup. So I'd love to learn about that sort of industry and then just wow people and they'd be like, wow, who's she?
So, okay, then that begs the question, if you won $1 million, what would you do with it?
Oh, I would go and take one of Monty's courses. I'd love to do one of those.
Oh, at the
Go
farm
flag
in
it up
California.
Oh, yeah. It just sounds so amazing. When Jamie was over there, I was hooked, absolutely hooked to every minute she was talking about it because it was just, I was so jealous. It would just be so amazing to work with him and to see him and to ride the horses and to learn from the man himself would just be bliss. So that's what I'd spend some money on.
What is the most terrifying thing you've ever done, and would you do it again?
Getting on my horse every day.
And apparently you'll do it again because you keep doing it.
I will do it again. I tell you, you've got to keep getting back on. Yes, that's definitely the thing. Sometimes I will be standing there taking deep breaths thinking, okay, it's going to be fine. You have to talk yourself into it. It's going to be fine. Don't let him know that you're scared. It's fine. And so, yeah, you just get on and do it. It's so rewarding afterwards, but at the time you're like, why am I doing this? I've got a dry mouth. I can't swallow.
Okay,
What am I doing to
I'm just gonna throw something in, and this will not be popular among some people.
Okay.
We're not getting any younger. Life is short. Maybe it's time to move this one on to somebody who can work with it, and you just get the nice, quiet one.
Wouldn't that be nice, Glenn?
Yes,
But there's
I
something
think
about us women that won't do these things.
I am
will
good,
we?
and I'm sure that I am not the only horse husband that has brought that up. Am I?
No,
I
exactly.
didn't think
It always
so.
seems to fall on. It falls on deaf ears, though, doesn't it? It's strange.
Yeah, for some
really-
reason,
yeah.
much of what we say does. Yes.
But he's so pretty. I'm going to keep him.
Oh God.
He's so pretty. He deserves me.
Oh
Oh,
God.
doesn't he?
Let's move on.
You're-
What's your husband's phone number? I'm going to be calling him. Poor guy.
No, you never need to speak to him. He's fine. He's fine in his own little world. Fine.
If you could ask, I'm going to pick one for you because I'm feeling a
Oh,
little
God.
naughty myself. If you could
Okay.
ask, I'm going to say Riff Raff. If you could ask Riff Raff a question, what would you ask him?
Right, this is a bit of a somber one because I've been having to think about this. If I had to ask Whiffy a question, I would ask him to give me a sign for when his time is up. Because I'm so scared about keeping him too long for my own sake that I want him to tell me
Well,
when he's ready to go.
Helena and I believe that your pets do tell you. So I honestly
Yeah, I hope
believe
so.
he will tell you.
He will tell you. I
Yep.
promise you that. He will tell you.
Yep. Now, sometimes we
It's
don't
just
listen.
keeping your emotions in check, isn't it? It's stopping yourself
Exactly.
and sort of
When you
looking
care
after
so
yourself
much,
rather than the other.
when you care that much, Fiona, you somehow have the ability to compartmentalize your own need to keep them around, and your watchful eye will know. You'll be able to read.
Yeah.
You can put your own needs aside and see what's best for them. Not every horse owner can do that. But you know, there's that we love them, we care about them, but then there's that extra level of love, care, and concern. And that's what I believe enables you to compartmentalize what you want out of his life with you and your life with him versus what he needs.
Yeah,
And that'll give you the
Yeah.
opportunity to see when he's telling you.
I hope so. I'm sure he will.
Very cool.
That's a bit somber, sorry.
He will. No, that's
Lower
something we all
lower
have to
the
deal
tone.
with, though, right?
It's sweet
True.
and it's meaningful, and that's why we're
We
here.
just
isn't
had
it?
to do it with our cat, and he told us. I
Oh.
mean, he was walking across
Yeah.
the floor, falling over, and he looked up at us, and I said, well, that's it. He's telling us, look, I don't want to do this anymore. So I think you do know, that I really do. I think you do know. Is everybody guilty of saying, oh, no. He's not telling us. And then we wait too long. Yes, all of us are guilty of that. Because that was what makes us compassionate humans, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Well, it's nice to know that you have such an interesting relationship with Roly Poly and a very
Sell the sucker and move on.
very satisfying.
Oh,
He's trying to tell you
what happens,
something.
Glenn?
He's
Yeah, but he
telling
might-
you.
What happens if he...
He's looking
Why
at
do you
you,
get onto
bucking
someone
your ass
horrible?
off, and then saying, sell me, and I'll move on.
That should be my question to him, shouldn't it? What do you
Yes.
want from me? And
Yeah.
he'd say, get rid of me.
Yes, just sell me to somebody else. I don't like it here. I'm going torment some other woman who has a husband.
Oh,
So,
could you
just saying.
imagine?
I'm just coming from the horse husband's point of view. That's all.
Of course.
What's your
and
website?
I'm taking it just as I do.
Where can people find your art?
They find me at fionacrawford.co.uk.
Very good. Thank you, Fiona. We appreciate you being a listener,
Pleasure.
and we appreciate you joining us.
It was lovely to have
No. Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me on. It's been great fun.
This product today is sponsored by horselovers.com. And they sent us, Helena, a product for review. So what are we talking about today?
We are talking about the DaVinci Fancy Raised Padded Comfort. Oh, God. Comfort Crown Bridle
Wow. Big, long name.
with fancy raised lace reins. That is a long name. It's essentially, it's a raised padded bridle, which I think
It's
is
a
lovely.
fancy raised padded bridle. It's not just
Fancy means
any
it's
old.
got stitching on the brow band
Yes.
and the nose band.
Yes.
That's, in my experience, that's what you get. So, so it's a really nice bridle for the price point. Now, as most people who've shopped for tack know that there's always good, better, and best. And the best seems to be way beyond my financial reach. But so I usually shop for value, right? Quality for the price point. This is one of the nicer bridles I've found in the under $100 price point.
And it runs about $89, I think.
Yep. Horselovers.com has it advertised for $88.99. And gosh, okay, so the leather is really nice. I take it out of the package. Now, most of us you don't have to work with a bridle when it's new, except for once. It's not like we're in the business of bringing home new bridles like the way we are new saddle pads. It's not something that goes through your tack room on a regular basis. But I have to say that the quality of the leather was nice enough in that setting it up for the first time, fitting it on my horse, putting it together, fitting it on my horse, making the adjustments was easy.
So it
fastening,
wasn't stiff as a board.
no,
Yeah.
fastening and unfastening the buckles didn't make me want to swear. I got the horse size for Brody, who is he's about 15.3, 15.2, with an average size horse head, not small by any means. So the horse size bridle, I think, is sized a little generously. But what does that mean? I don't like a lot of extra straps when I buckle up my bridle, when I fit my bridle. Like,
You don't
the
like the dangly ends?
I don't like the dangly ends. Obviously there's keepers on this, which work very well, but I don't like a lot of extra strap. So I would be interested to see if the neck size down would work.
A cob size?
Cob size. But what you might want to do is just measure your horse's face. I think it's a good idea to do anyway. You take a string and you measure it around your horse's forehead, around his throat latch. And then sometimes I just call the company and say, these are my horse's measurements. Which size would you recommend?
Right.
But it's not, it's not huge. It's not big by any means. Anyway, I like the bridle so much that I'm happy to deal with a little extra strappage.
Good.
It has the crown piece is padded, which is really nice. It has the white stitching, the contrast stitching, which I think is kind of cool. I'm a contrast kind of person. It's a little chic. The what else? The hardware is stainless steel. Hello, thank you very much, which is really good, especially in these coastal areas. What else do I like about it? It's got the braided reins. Now, I've been riding with rubber reins for a long time. Big, thick rubber reins. And so I put these lace reins in my hands and I was like, oh, I remember these. Way better. So much nicer to ride with laced reins. You still get the feel. Like I don't like smooth reins because I really like to I move my hands around a lot, which is not good, but I move them around for good reasons. And so I like to know where they are, and I like the feel of the lace reins under them. It gives me a little bit of grip, blah, blah, blah. You either like the laced reins or you don't, but it was nice for me to move from the rubber grip reins into the laced reins again. And what else
it
can I
is
say?
funny how we get used to reins. I also use rubber reins, and you get used to reins, and then you just don't want to try something. And now
Totally.
here you had to, so it was like, oh yeah,
Well, because I was so used to the rubber reins, I'm like, there's no way I would go back to laced reins.
Right.
And they're a lot less intrusive than the rubber reins. You don't even realize that the rubber reins are bothering you until you try laced reins.
Yeah, you've been using them for so long; they are what they are,
But I remember the first time I went to the rubber reins, I was like, oh, it's like holding, coffee cans in my hand. These are so big and chunky. But the other thing I liked about it was the color. So the color that I got, I think is like a chestnut.
Yeah, that's what they have. Yep.
And it goes really well with my Bates saddle.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So sometimes the color of the bridle leather is just, it's tanned in a way that it really doesn't go with any tack that you have. But other times they can mix in softer red tones or brown tones with their colors that make it match pretty much whatever you have. Unless you have a black saddle,
Right.
And you're going with a chestnut or a Havana. I found that the tanning process, some tack manufacturers can sort of adjust the color combinations so that the bridle works with a variety of saddle colors.
And this is one of those. Oh, good.
Yeah. Yep.
Good. Well, very good. That's the DaVinci Fancy Raised Padded Comfort Crown Bridle with fancy reins. Fancy laced reins.
An excellent buy, especially for the price. Like, even if it wasn't this value at, I don't want to call it economy bridle because it's not even close to that. It's just really nicely priced. So I would probably get this even if it was priced a little bit higher than what Horse Lovers has it at.
All right, $89 is where you get it. Price-wise, go to horselovers.com. We'll post a link to it in our Facebook page and also on our show notes at stablescoop.com for this episode. We'll post a link directly to the product. So if you're out cleaning stalls or you're driving down the road, you can just hop on over there for that. And we want to thank horselovers.com. From muck boots to supplements, Horse Lovers has it all. You can shop top brands and trust at horselovers.com. And there's a 10% coupon. Don't forget that. Right now going on, there's a 10% coupon, as I said earlier in the show. So use the coupon code HRN for Horse Radio Network, just HRN, and you'll get 10% off your next order. And that's only good through May 31st. So get your order in today. You only have a couple days left. Well, Helena, thank you so much again. It's been good talking to you. Remind everybody where they can hear your other show.
My other show can be found at thatnewportshow.com.
Thatnewportshow.com is where you can hear it. And also, you can find all of our show notes at stablescoop.com. You can also find us on our app, the HRN app. It's free and easy to use at iOS or Android. Doesn't matter. Just search for Horse Radio Network. If you haven't updated the app and you already have it, go in and do the updates because we have all the new shows on there. Plus, you can listen to the live morning show and any live special events that we do now right on the app. And apparently it works very well. People are saying the sound is even better than listening on your computer. So it seems to be a hit.
Wonderful.
That's it for this week.
That was plenty. But there will be more next week. Until then, happy scooping.